Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you are watching this. Welcome back to episode 15 of the Since I Was Young podcast. Your host, as always, is myself, Ewan, and Alan. Alan, has your voice recovered from Saturday yet, mate?
Only just today, to be honest with you, and even then it's still a wee bit dodgy.
Jesus Christ, literally the left side of my fucking eardrum was pulsing because of you, honestly. Like, ridiculous.
You were only in the pub as well. The game.
I know, exactly. But yeah, as you could probably tell, for our main topic, we're going to be doing a post-match analysis of the game that was held on Saturday at Tynecastle, which ended in a Hearts victory over Celtic, which was 2-1. And as always as well, we will have our usual news segment with Alan. A few the bits and bobs to go over, including an outgoing transfer, one that we've all been dying for the last 3 years, thank Christ. We're going to touch on some restriction updates as well. That was announced by the First Minister not too long ago as well. We're going to also touch on an interview with our latest signing, Benny Bangdaman. Yeah, as you can tell, I've not even tried to enunciate his name yet, but Alan, you've got it down to a T, eh?
Yep, Benny Bangdaman. That's what I'm going with.
Benny Bangdaman, that's what I heard. Good son. But yeah, so that is our agenda for this episode. But as always, guys, this is the Since I Was Young podcast for all things Heart of Midlothian, for the latest news, chat, and debates as well. If you want to get in contact with us, as always, you can catch us on both Instagram and Twitter, both at SIWYpod. Alternatively as well, you can get in contact with us through our official email. It is sinceIwasyoung1874@gmail.com. And if you want to get in touch with us personally, you also can do that as well. The link to Alan's Twitter page is in the description, as well as my YouTube page, What Ewan's Doing. So, Alan, as I just said as well, we have a man that has been draining the club dry for the last 3 years. Is he officially out?
Yes.
Yes! Get in!
So, the man in question is the pre-season Messi, Loic Damour. He has departed and is currently quarantining in France ahead of signing for Le Mans, the semi-professional third-tier French team. He has originally joined them on loan for this season, and then it sounds as if the plan is that his contract with Hearts will be terminated a year early to allow him to then find a challenge back in France, because he does have 2 years left on his contract with us. So it's an initial 1 year loan, and then I suppose we'll just take the loss on the last year. But I mean, look, this is a man who, for me, and I don't know what your opinion is on this, but he's got to be up there with one of the worst signings that we've made in recent history. And we've had some absolute stoters, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm. He's up there, though. He is, for 100% up there, man.
Yeah, he's just, as I say, like, 4-year contract. And the thing about it is, without going into, a whole debate about Loic Damour, he came from Cardiff, having played a majority of the season where they got promoted out of the Championship. Mm-hmm. So you're thinking, this is a cracking signing. If this player comes in and hits the ground running, this is a cracking signing. But he just never did. I don't know if it's Scottish football just didn't suit him or whatever, but yeah, it was a bizarre one. 4 years, the Craig Levein School of Transfers. He's finally off ski. We're still paying a large portion of his wage, though, unfortunately. But obviously, it'll be less than what we were.
Yeah, at least it's something.
Yeah, I mean, it gets him off the books. And as I say, if they seem to think that, he'll spend a season there playing regularly, and then he might get interest from another French team somewhere else, or higher up the leagues or whatever, and then they'll be able to take him on as a free transfer. So that seems to be the end of the Loic Damour chapter at Hearts, and thus ends my campaign to have him shot into the sun. So
unfortunately, but as always, good luck to Loic and also to his new team, Le Mans. Good luck. You're gonna need
it. Oh, what a man! What a man! And then just moving on to the next point for the news segment tonight is the announcement from the First Minister Nicola Sturgeon today that COVID restrictions, in the most part, are being lifted from the 9th of August. What that means for football stadiums is the social distancing rules will be lifted to a point. But the official line for football stadiums and I think outdoor arenas in general is that they can have a maximum capacity of 5,000 without then needing to appeal to their local councils. Now, it's a step in the right direction because we had 5,000 in the stands against Celtic, which is great. And we'll get onto that in a wee while. But I don't have any trust in the Edinburgh City Council to give us a reasonable
Nobody does, Alan. Nobody does.
No, and I mean even Hibs, like Hibs have had like I think they had a game where they had like 5,000 already as well. So I'm thinking, well, both teams have shown they can have 5,000 and there's no problem. So but anyway, we'll wait and see what happens with that. But it's nice to have a little bit of progression in terms of getting fans back into stadiums. Away fans will probably not be too far away as well, I would imagine, because as much as we enjoyed Tynecastle being full of jambos against Celtic, the club does need the revenue from away supporters. So,
of course,
I mean, I'd quite happily just have Tynecastle full of home fans every week, to be honest with you. But
every week, fucking love it.
COVID or not, I'd rather have that, to be honest. But it is what it is. So it's nice to see some progression, as I say, and hopefully we're not too far away from having full houses back at Tynecastle and getting the noise back.
Definitely.
On that links to my last point. It was an interview that new man who has officially signed and made his debut and been man of the match since we last recorded is Benny Baningemi. He gave an interview to the Evening News, and there was a quote. It was after Saturday night's game. He gave a quote, and he said, "I didn't come here for the money," which I thought was fantastic because a player that was at Everton since the age of 9, he would have been earning decent money. So
yeah, no, true.
It's nice to see that he sacrificed that to, in his words, to start his career again. Which is great. He also said that. Now, I don't have the direct quote, but it went along the lines of, "The fans left me shaking on Saturday night. I've never experienced anything like that in my life." And I thought, you know what? Good man. It's nice to hear these things. And yeah, we'll talk about him later when we go through the Celtic situation. But what a player we could have in our hands, honestly. Like, he just, once he gets settled in properly.
Yeah, no, man, exactly. Because like you said, we will go through it a bit more in depth in a tiny bit. But he made a very favourable in depression, I would say, when we sat down to watch it. I mean, to be honest, I didn't actually expect him to actually start, but still at the end, he did pretty darn well, man.
Yeah, not too bad for a player that signed on the Thursday and trained on the Thursday and the Friday and then played on the Saturday. So that's why without going into it, because we're going to end up getting into what we talk about later. But yeah, I mean, we said it the last time that the podcast we recorded before this one, which was before the Celtic game, and it was before Benny had signed. Thanks, Hearts, for announcing it 24 hours after we recorded the podcast. But anyway,
up-to-date news for the Since I Was Young podcast. You're welcome. Sorry, yeah.
Great timing. But yeah, so look, it's a great signing and it has all the promise to be a very good signing, but we'll wait and see how he does. But yeah, first impressions are good and we'll take it from there.
Beautiful, Alan, beautiful. And well, saying that as well, you're saying that we're not sort of up to date on the actual news itself. Somebody that literally just came out an hour ago. See, up to date fucking news. There was a tiny wee sort of mention of our old assistant manager. Was that right?
That was right, yes. Austin McPhee has found himself a job at Aston Villa in the Premier League.
No bad. No bad.
Yeah.
Right.
He's been employed as a set piece specialist. Now, it's one of those things. It seems to be a lot of clubs in England seem to be going down that route of appointing set piece specialists, but I don't remember us being particularly good at them when he was at Hearts. So I'm not
We'd
really sure where he's
never
picked that up from.
literally the only set piece that I've ever seen a successful one was literally just on Saturday there. Literally,
I knew you
that's
were
the
going to
only
say
ever
that.
set piece. It's true though. When have you ever
It's
seen
true.
Hearts do a good set piece, mate? Ever?
No, it's true. I saw
Yeah.
something. I saw a wee clip on doing the rounds on Twitter earlier, which I thought was hilarious, and it was must have been at the time when Austin McPhee was at Hearts, and I can't remember who the Hearts player was, but the boy plays a corner in, and Austin McPhee goes up to header it, misses the ball completely, and falls flat on his arse. Like, there's your set piece specialist.
Welcome to Aston Villa. Hi, absolutely. Well,
But
well,
no,
on that note,
good luck to him. Good luck to him, and Ian
aye.
Cathro as well at Tottenham. By the way, good luck to the pair of them. Obviously, very good coaches, but management
Yeah.
clearly not their bag. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I'll stay relatively silent on the Cathro one. Aye. So on that note, thank you very much, Alan, for our daily news segment, and it's a nice wee segue for us to go on our main topic. If you've been living under a rock, you will no doubt have heard that Hearts got off to a flyer just on the Saturday past there. 2-1 against Celtic. Before we do dive into it, I would just like to personally give a shout out to the Cali sample room for was it having us on that night. Thank you very much. It was a brilliant seat. The seat was literally a beautiful view of the TV with at the same time arm's reach of the bar as well. So absolutely tremendous work, guys.
Definitely.
So yeah, we can kind of crack into the game now. Before we talk about the actual game, what were your sort of thought? Like, I know we spent a whole sort of episode on it, but literally maybe a few minutes before the game started. How were you feeling, Alan? Were you feeling relatively confident, or was there a bit of nerves in there, or what?
There was nerves because there always is when we play against Celtic or Rangers or Hibs even. I mean, Hibs, I don't have that much nerves, to be honest. But being a Hearts fan, you can never be 100% certain that you're going to win a game of football. But I have to be honest, when I saw the lineups, I was encouraged by the Hearts lineup.
Yep.
Like you said just a few minutes ago there, I was surprised to see Benny starting. But, he proved to be the perfect decision. The Celtic lineup, when it came out, I kind of thought, okay, they're not playing their two young centre backs because, after losing to Midtjylland, I don't think we'll ever see those two ever again, to be honest. But there was a part of me that was looking at the Celtic lineup and going, yeah, that's gettable. We can do something here. It's you just never know with Celtic. You never know, and especially, I mean, you never know with Hearts either. But no, I mean, to say I was confident, I would say so. I was pleased that he went 3-4-3 as well, which I think it was never in doubt that Robbie was going to go 3-4-3, but there was always that little bit in the back of my head going, please don't play a back four, please don't play a back four. And then the team news came out, and obviously really, really pleased with that.
Absolutely.
What about yourself? How were you feeling?
I'll be honest, I was the same as you when I was on the bus. Actually, was it at the coming to actually meet you? There was a bit of nerves there, but the one thing that changed my mind even before the game had actually started, just getting to the end of Dalry Road and literally just seeing the start of Gorgie Road, and it got a bit it got a bit emotional as well. Just seeing fans just walking to Tynecastle, and it was just like, oh mate, we're back. Yeah. So from that point on, I was actually all right. Much like yourself, I was thrilled when we had the team set up at what we both wanted it to actually be. I think apart from Benny, I think it was essentially the exact same team as we sort of had predicted as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was relatively happy, but I was sure a lot more calmer than you throughout the entire fucking game. Holy shit! You
Mate,
needed a psychiatrist, mate. Seriously, you were
do you know
literally
what?
sitting on the edge of your seat the whole game. The whole game.
Mate, honestly, it's one of those, right? And it's just built into me. I just get nervous, like, and I got called negative when I got, when I got home. I got called negative because I was saying that, I wasn't pleased with how we played, because I wasn't. Like, let's be honest,
No,
when
no,
we
no,
had
no,
the
no, no.
when we had the ball, we were making the wrong decisions in the final third more than once. There's no doubt about it. And equally, and this is fact, we would not have won that game if it hadn't been for who our goalkeeper is. You
Did you
know,
hear that, Celtic fans? Our goalkeeper that you
well,
best. I've said it about 3 times already. Again, what? Fuck it. I'm gonna say it again. Best business you've ever fucking did. Ever.
honestly,
Like, to literally have the nerve to offer Craig, you're gonna have my fucking babies, was it Ed Gordon, right? You had the nerve to offer him only a 1 year contract extension for then to only offer him 2 grand a week. Ridiculous insult. So
of
thank you
course.
very much. You're stuck with 3 shitty goalkeepers and you've just signed fucking Joe Hart. Congratulations, boys. Anyways, Alan,
I know.
please carry on.
No, I mean, exactly. We've made them panic by Joe Hart and give him 20 grand a week. So, it is what it is. You're welcome, Scottish football. But yeah, it's one of those, like, we could sit here and talk all night about systems and tactics and formations and all that, but it all goes out the window because we won 2-1, and that's all that matters. I said it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I said it before when we did our predictions. I think it was that I couldn't care less how Hearts play this season. I just want points.
Now
I just
you're
want
saying that.
wins.
Now
No,
you're saying that because you lost in the fucking prediction, mate, didn't you?
I well,
I
I mean,
knew you were going to have a list of fucking excuses to
again,
come back.
again, I've listen. I've never been happier to lose at predictions. I don't care. I won money. I won at the bookies. That'll do me. But yeah,
literally, that was one of the nicest things just to wrap up that whole night, because when I was going from a train and then just pull my phone buzz, I forgot I put £3 in the game. Just won 15 quid. Get it? I was
listen.
well done, son. Well done.
I put money on them when Hearts were 4-1, and this was before the second leg against Midtjylland. 4-1 for Hearts to win at Tynecastle against Celtic. I was like, fucking Aldi. Right. I wish I put more on it now, to be honest. But no, look, I mean, it doesn't matter how we played. It doesn't matter if there was a poor performance or whatever. We won against Celtic on the opening day of the season, and funnily enough, it's the first time they've lost an opening day fixture in 24 years. I heard that one earlier today. So
breaking records left, right, and centre, mate.
Exactly.
Well, what we can do, we can talk about the first goal and the events sort of going up to that. The first, I mean, I know we scored in it was the 8th or 9th sort of minute, I think it was, but for the opening 2025, I thought we actually played very well. Like, I don't think Celtic, like, I don't think they sort of feared us in any way at all. I don't think I think we, for that most sort of first 20 minutes, I think we actually had them on the back foot. We had a few sort of counter attacks as well. One actually being the goal itself. We had a really fast sort of start as well. Very sort of up paced, tempo wise as well. We didn't actually spend all of it in our sort of the defensive half as well, which was nice. So I thought we got off to a relatively good start. But I think I mean, we played sort of fine right up until the end of the first half. I mean, were you relatively happy, like sort of how we sort of like was it started and like sort of read the play throughout that the first half, Alan? Or
Yeah. I think, like you said yourself, we started the game really well. We started on the front foot, and we were getting at Celtic and pressing them, and you could see that Robbie has obviously told the players, look, get after them. Put a foot in, get after them, and see what you can do. I thought, even just to add to that, I thought the Celtic midfield missed Scott Brown massively. Not for his footballing ability, because I don't really rate him as a technical football player, but
understood, yeah.
his bite and his leadership and his, he barks at people. He's been barking at Celtic players for years, and he drags them all with him, and they just didn't have that. They were average. Celtic were average all over the park, and that helped us massively. But to go back to the first sort of 10, 15 minutes, I thought we were really, really good, and deserved to score when we did. After the goal, like you say, sort of after sort of 15, 20 minutes, we kind of sat back a little bit,
Yeah.
which was frustrating to see, because I kind of hoped that, we would have went after them again and kind of stayed on the front foot, because I think if we did, we might have got a second goal out of it. But Celtic then sort of took control of the ball and kind of, they didn't do a great deal with it. And every time they got to sort of the edge of the box, they were pinging shots left, right, and centre over the bar and wide, and Gordon was waving them as they were going past the post. But yeah, it was the perfect start, But it's always difficult when you score early, because you kind of don't really know what to do next. Do you try and get a second goal, or do you sit and defend it? And I think we were a bit guilty of that.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, when we did score at the first sort of goal, I honestly thought we were actually going to score much more. Like, if we did kind of manage to keep that momentum up throughout the first half, I truly think that we could have got another one. But
oh yeah,
like you said as well, I think with us and and all Hearts fans probably not sort of being was it was it at the playing football to what these guys do. I mean, I guess mentally, like you said there, because we scored relatively early, I think that mindset thinking, right, so do we keep sort of trying to attack, or sort of do we sit in, or so I guess there's that sort of side to it as well. But talking about the first goal now, contrary to any opinion, right, I love Liam Boyce. I do not have any bad words to say about him. However, that greedy little bastard, he was wanting to score that. I'm sorry, he held that up way too long for him to not pass it straight away, because I rewatched the highlights just yesterday, and if I remember rightly, in the centre there was Andy Halliday, there was Kai Stevens, and there was no, it wasn't Jenny. I think it might have been Cochrane. But anyhow, there was three of them. It was a good 5 seconds, until Boyce actually thought, nah, I'm not going to score this. I'm a fucking, there you go. But still, though, it was really good. Was it hold up and strength from the Boyce himself, and it was a relatively straight forward. Was it at the finish as well? And I don't know about you, Alan, but literally that emotion and that feeling and that literally not even not being at the actual game, it was euphoric, and it was so sorely missed.
It was. I mean, Alan, it was. Oh yeah. It was. It was one of those. I thought that the goal itself showed exactly why the 3-4-3 system works so well. It obviously started with Suter with the ball at his feet. He passed it out from the back, moved forward. I think he passed it out to Smith potentially. Then he gets it back as he's in the middle of the pitch. And I'm thinking, that's where John Suter needs to be, playing the ball out. And we were playing so high up the park, because that was the whole pressing high. And he feeds the ball out to Ginnelly. Ginnelly takes one touch and wipes out Starfeld, who Celtic fans were hyping up as the next Johan Mjällby, and I thought he was absolutely horrendous. But
fucking bogging.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's without going into it, the Celtic lineup, there were players in there that shouldn't have played. Starfelt is one of them. He'd only been out of quarantine for like 3 days and then he was thrown in. But anyway, Ginelli took one touch and sent him to the shops. And then he plays the ball in. And like you were saying, there were so many players in the box that were available. I think when the ball crossed the line, there was like 6 players in the box.
Aye.
And I'm thinking, that's brilliant. That's what you want.
Yeah, no.
The ball comes in, Boise does what Boise does. He's trying to score. Of course he is. He's a striker. He wants to score the goal.
I know.
It's understandable. But you're right. He very nearly made an absolute mess of it. And if he did, all of those players that were in the box would have let him know. But
freaking know them. I would have marched up to fucking Tynecastle. Jesus, fuck. Honestly.
Then the ball gets sort of tackled away from him by, I think it was Starfelt again, actually, tackles the ball away from him, and it just happens to break to Gary Mackay-Steven just to tap it into the net. But I think the most promising thing about that goal was that if Gary Mackay-Steven hadn't have got it, Alex Cochrane was there, like literally right next to him. So, if Gary Mackay-Steven had somehow missed it or, been blocked off or something, Cochrane was following up. And again, like I say about the 3-4-3 system, that's why it works so well in that kind of situation. But yeah, look, it was a fantastic goal, a great way to start the game.
Absolutely, Alan. I mean, from then onwards to the end of the first half, there wasn't really much sort of going on, because I know we spent the majority of the second half kind of at the back foot. We were deep a lot throughout the second half, and I think that kind of slowly started to creep in throughout the first half. So I don't think there's really much to add on to the first half. So going into the second half, obviously, the Hearts team and us as well, we were obviously feeling a bit more confident. I don't know if that was the game itself or if that was the pints, but I thought I thought again we got off to a bit of a slow start throughout the second half. And I mean, it only just came after 56 minutes from Tommy Rylston. And was it with the second goal? I thought it was incredibly sloppy. From the Hearts defence. He managed to get by, it was the Benny, Kingsley and Suter as well, almost as if they're just sort of sliding just recklessly to try and get sort of to the ball. I mean, was it the credit to him from a defender back? I thought it was actually an all right sort of was it at the finish, but from our defensive wise, I thought it was a bit sloppy. No.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think their goal was very much how Postecoglou wants his team to play. They sort of played it out the back, and it was well worked. Okay, we had multiple chances to get the ball back, but we didn't manage to do it. But the little 1-2 with Edouard, and he steps away from, I think it was Suter or Halkett, one of the two. Mm-hmm. He just steps away from him, and it's a good finish, to be fair. It had to be a good finish to get past Gordon the way he was feeling in that game. But yeah, I thought we started the second half quite well, to be honest. I thought that we were on the front foot again, and it was almost like we weren't as quick as we were at the start of the game. But I think Robbie had obviously said to them at halftime, "You're dropping too deep. You need to be further up. You need to be pressing them." And it worked. In the second half, as I say, I think it was quite interesting because I think both halves were very similar. We just kind of dropped back a little bit, got a little bit defensive, didn't really know what to do. And then Celtic scoring their goal gave them the momentum. And it was like, okay, right. And I said it to you in the pub. I said, look, I'd be happy with a 1-1 draw at this point.
Because and you said it fucking 5 times throughout the fucking second half and all.
Aye, because I was anxious. I thought that's what I thought we were going to lose. Listen, when Celtic...
Right bag! There was a word for that.
When Celtic scored their goal, I thought, this is it. I've seen that script before. We do all right, and then Celtic come back, and then they score, and then they win. I've seen it so many times. That's what Hearts do. Give teams a wee glimpse of hope, and then they take it. And yeah, look, I was delighted to be wrong on this occasion. But the second half, I have to say, I thought Benny was absolutely outstanding.
100%.
He was just unbelievable. And I think, I mean, I don't know whether you want to do ratings or not. I don't know whether we will or not, but I think massive shouts to the spine of the team was unbelievable. Obviously, Craig Gordon in there. Suter was just brilliant. Benny was amazing. Boyce did well with his hold-up play. And then when Nanduli came on, I thought Nanduli had an impact as well. So, and even Peter Haring, when he came on late in the game, the changes were fantastic as well. Even though, I think when I know probably what you're about to say, but when he brought Haring on for Gary Mackay-Steven, you and I looked at each other and went, "What the fuck is he doing?"
Yeah, like just before we do go on to that, like you're just like just said about like the players as such. I can honestly say, hand on heart, I don't think there was a player that didn't contribute something for that game. Even the ones that we've been a bit more sort of critical of, like for instance, Halkett. I don't even think he had himself a bad game. I honestly don't. Whether that's down to Suter as such, I don't know. Like maybe like he himself feels a bit more sort of less sort of depressured when he's there. I don't know, but at the same time, I don't think there was one player that I could say that had a bad sort of game. Even Andy Halliday, like fuck, like look, he had he didn't have a great game, but he did one good thing throughout that game, and that erased everything from me genuinely. Typical Andy fucking Halliday, and I love it.
I wonder what that was. No, I mean,
no comment. Sorry.
No, I'll just pick up on that as well. I think to talk about Halkett and Halliday, they're two players that seem to get a bit of a raw deal from Hearts supporters. And I think I'll even throw Nanduli into that, even though he's not been here that long. I see a lot of people writing him off already and saying, "Oh, he's a dud, he's this, he's that." Halkett and Halliday are two players that they know what it means. And like Halkett, for example, like there was, I can't remember, it might have been on the This Is My Story podcast. They did a live reaction to the game after it, there's that many Hearts podcasts that I listen to. Sometimes they all morph into one. But somebody made the point and they said, you just need to look at Halkett after the cup final, I think it was. Mm-hmm. He was in floods of tears. And you're thinking, and even the way he celebrated after the game, you're like, there's a guy who, okay, he's not the best technically, but he does a job. And when you ask him to do that job, he'll do it. Okay, he's not going to be a John Suter because he's not that kind of defender. But I compare him to like a Dickamona that we had, a Clevid Dickamona when we got, that relegation season. I think, in fact, maybe it was the season before. But anyway, at Scottish football at Hearts, you're not going to have players that are all the finished article and all absolutely fantastic players. It's not possible, right? And even Andy Halliday, I'll say the same thing. Not the most technically gifted football player, because he's not. But
no, he's not. Absolutely not.
But he's effective at what he does, and he just works hard in the middle of the pitch. And sometimes he runs about like a headless chicken, and you think, where are you going? And he chucks his feet at people. But I have to say, against Celtic, he was very good. But if we were doing match ratings, I don't think a single player gets below a 7.5 for me.
No,
and that's the way I look at it. People say, "Oh, we need a replacement for Halliday. We need a replacement for Halkett." In terms of technical quality, yes, I want us to sign a better centre back. We don't need another midfielder now because Benny's in, but I want us to sign a better centre back than Halkett. But if we don't, I'm not going to cry about it because Halkett can do a job, and I think these guys get a lot of unfair stick, to be honest. And I think similarly, Andy Halliday gets it because of his Rangers connections, and Hearts fans, there's certain Hearts supporters that they don't want to hear him commenting about Rangers. And you're like, well, he's a Rangers fan. He's entitled to talk about Rangers if he's asked an opinion about Rangers. Okay, he's contracted to Hearts, we pay his wages, but he's a Rangers fan. It's clear that's, he wants to talk about them because that's the team he supports. I don't have a problem with that.
No, I know.
Some fans obviously do. Some fans obviously do have a problem with that, and if they do, fair enough. But don't make that a reason to slate him for his performances because he's actually not that bad.
Yeah, look, right. On no no point am I trying to say that these players were on the same level, not at all, right? But if we're talking about Halliday now, a good example of kind of what he does on the pitch, right? Look, a good example of that is Roy was at the Keane, right? He was not a good football player in terms of his technical ability. All that he did was that he did this simple things very well, and he got in folks' faces, and he dragged that team in the same way that you've just mentioned. Scott was Ed Brown there. Yeah, may not be the best technically, but he's there to do a very certain job. And there go Halliday. I think in that respect, I think he's stick regardless if he's a Rangers fan like or not. He signed to Hearts. He's there to do a job for Hearts, and
exactly,
with all of the of the players being very sort of professional, I don't think when the time comes that we do play, was it at the Rangers, if Robbie does actually sort of to play him, I don't think in the back of his mind saying, "Oh, I want deep down, I want actually was it at the Rangers to actually win because I'm a fan." No, anyone look. If I played for Hearts and then I got offered fucking 10 times worth to go to Celtic, let's say for example, I'll fucking go, because at the end of the day, it's a job. It may be football and it may be tribal as well, but at the end of the day, it's a job like you or me or anybody else.
Of course. And I think, like I say, Halliday gets a bit of stick because it's so obvious that he's a Rangers fan, and because of his media platform and his podcast and all that, and his media presence in general, everybody knows he's a Rangers fan, and it's a fact. But it doesn't make a difference.
No, it honestly doesn't.
It doesn't, and it shouldn't. But to some fans, it does. Some fans don't like hearing him talk about Rangers because they go, "Oh, you're employed by Hearts. What are you talking about them for?" It's like, give the guy a break. He's probably going to be one of the top earners at Hearts, let's be honest, in terms of his profile and his age and where he came from, etc. So he's going to be on a decent wage. But for Hearts, we can't pay big money. So if Andy Halliday gets a wee few extra quid for writing a column about Rangers or appearing on a preview show to talk about Rangers or whatever, even his podcast, if they get paid money to do that, let the guy do it. It doesn't make a difference.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, just to go back to the game, because I feel like we're doing what we always do and we're going off on a tangent. But yeah, I thought Andy Halliday did very well next to Benny. The pair of them worked well. I don't know whether I'd play that against St Mirren, but I wouldn't complain if Robbie goes with exactly the same lineup again. I don't know, what you think about that game, but yeah, look, Andy Halliday did well. John Suter did well. Craig Halkett did well. All the players did well. All the players did well. That's the most important thing. As I said at the start, we can talk about systems and formations and tactics, etc. The players did really well.
Definitely.
And I have to say as well, just before I let you chime in, Robbie Neilson did well. I want that.
Yes,
I want that locked. Robbie Neilson did well.
Absolutely.
And I think, with the pressure that he would have known was on this game, he did really well. His substitutions were spot on. He changed it. And like I said earlier, I sort of briefly mentioned it, the substitution, Peter Haring on for Gary Mackay-Steven. You and I in the pub looked at each other and went, what the fuck is he doing that for? But it worked. Peter Haring came on, composure, calmness in the middle of the pitch. And we went to a 3 with Benny, Haring and Halliday. And he put Ginnelly up front. And it just worked. We got the ball back in the middle of the pitch and we just kept it so much better because Celtic, the pressure was mounting, and it was at that point where I thought, I've seen this movie before. Celtic are going to win this 2-1. They're going to get a scrappy goal. It's going to go in off somebody's arse or something. But Robbie reacted to the fact that we were under pressure and we weren't keeping the ball. And that's what Peter Haring gives you. Again, Peter Haring's another one. He's not the most technically gifted player either, but he's good at what he does. And yeah, I think massive amounts of credit has to go to Robbie Neilson because he got it right.
Yeah, I mean, because just the sort of, as you mentioned them there, mate, even when we went 1-1, Robbie was already getting pelters from the fans, even then. So I can only imagine the pressure that he can sometimes feel as well to
Yeah,
be drawing with Celtic at home. Like, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
I do agree with you that he did get it spot on. He did. Like, you know,
he did.
when, like you said, it's like, you know, when we did bring off Mackay Stevens and we brought on Haring, like, you know, we were in like a, like, you know, I mean, I'm pretty sure the entire sort of, was it a population of the Gorgie heard you, but I think you know, we reverted back to a 5-3-2, and again that could be seen as kind of a negative sort of tactic, but like you said, it worked. They got the ball back. We started to show a tiny bit more composure as well. Even though we only had about what 29% at possession of the second half, which was
Mad.
unbelievable. But that did show how much we did sit back and just let Celtic come at us. But like, you
Yeah,
know, to then go on to the monumentous moment, that was epic. Like, you know, I've heard a few at the podcast saying this, and I even heard the commentary of the actual game itself. It couldn't happen to a person that deserved that moment that it did for John Suter. That boy has been through so much more than some sort of the players that we know have retired from tiny more things than that. And he's came
yeah,
through 3 horrendous injuries, 2 horrible years for him, like sort of personally.
yeah.
And to score a goal like that in the way that it happened, in the time that it happened, where it was as well, back in at the big league, fans back in the stadium. You know, it was our first
Unbelievable.
sort of like, it was actually our first sort of football sort of live sort of view as
Yeah,
well. You just couldn't write it.
no,
You know, it was
no.
absolutely amazing. It was just like
Oh,
literally, and for the few people that were in the at the pub as well, it felt like we were right there in Tiny. Like literally, it
it
felt
did.
like we were right there in Tiny, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. It was just like you say, it was so fitting. And can I talk about and can I appreciate the ball in from Michael Smith? I
Oh,
thought that was
100%.
unbelievable.
100%. It was
It
on
was,
point.
yeah, absolute pinpoint. It was made for Suter's head to get on the end of it. And I mean, I mentioned it before, or I mentioned it to you privately or whatever. What the fuck was Bane doing? Where was he
Oh,
going?
dude, he
Like,
was he may as well be standing at the fucking was it at the corner flag? Like seriously, he was so out
mate,
aye,
he was
just
he was
he,
so
he was
far off
amazing.
his line. He was so far off his line. I thought he was going to the Gorgie Fish Bar for a chippy. Honestly,
Sure.
like I don't know what he was doing. I don't know how he managed to like. How did he think that was the right thing to do? And like Suter was completely on his own. There was nobody anywhere near him. And I'm thinking, if I'm if I'm a fan, like if that was Celtic taking that free kick and Hearts were defending like that,
Oh,
I'd be fuming. I'd be absolutely
absolutely.
raging. But yeah, like you say, Suter has had a hellish time. And I've said it about him before that I genuinely feel that if he had had, like every season he's been at Hearts, he's had an injury, like that's kept him out for a considerable period of time. And I'm very much of the school of thought that if John Suter had been injury free for all these years that he's had all these injuries, he'd be playing in the English Premier League right now,
hundred
genuinely.
percent,
And
hundred percent,
he'd have at least 20, if not more, caps for his country, and
100%.
I I just think, you know what, we're so lucky to still have him. I know the injuries have obviously played a part in that, but he's some defender. He really is. He's so composed and he just knows what he's doing. And like you said, the goal couldn't have happened for a better guy. It couldn't have fallen for a better guy for it to fall to. And he actually, I don't know if you noticed it, but at the end of the game, he was celebrating. He went up and hugged Stephen Naismith, and
Oh,
it came out after because I don't know whether they asked him about it in the after match interviews with Sky because we'd scarpered at that point because you had a bus to catch and I was getting my taxi down the road, but they asked him in the interview after it, and he said he'd been working on headers with Naismith in training. So
That's so sweet.
it
Oh.
shows you that it's working.
It does, not a man, 100%.
Suter is an absolute unit, and if he can use that not just defensively, but in the opposition box as well, it's an asset. We just need to get someone that can play crosses into the box every time, like Michael Smith did, and then we'll be laughing.
Definitely, man. And again, just from the TV, the noise that only 5,000 Hearts fans made. A wee thing to both was it Ed to what you said there about about Ed the Benny being so Ed supposedly shaking in Janelli's sort of expression when he heard the tiny amount of Hearts fans singing. The boys, you've heard nothing yet. You've heard nothing yet. You wait. If we've got a full house against Hibs, dearie me. Dearie me. But
yeah, that's no, definitely. But that again, that's in the hands of the Edinburgh City Council, so they'll probably they'll allow probably about 500 fans in. Let's be honest.
I'll start a one-man dry, mate. Honestly, don't you worry about that. But just to touch on that, because we totally forgot to mention it. Just talking about sort of the riots as well before we talk about the end of the game. Why would you? Now, I'm saying this in the most neutralist sense possible. Why would a fan base, when they've been told there's no away support, and yet, why did a small group of fucking inbred animals show up to the plaza expecting whatever outcome they were going to expect to happen? Right? If they expected anything like the Euros final where the fans there stormed the fucking gates, it's fucking Tynecastle. Jesus fuck. But what I found even more brilliant is that they got fucking ran out at the first fucking sight of danger, being attacked by a big fat fuck, being pepper sprayed. Seriously, what did you think was going to happen? Tell me, what mindset would you think to literally show up, and then would you think that the Hearts sort of stirred oh well, they came all this way, so I'll fucking come in, get to fuck, seriously, absolute scenes.
Oh, do you know what's even more laughable about it? It's the fact they turned up 2 hours before kickoff, expecting there to be Hearts fans there. It's like, lads, all the Hearts fans were in the pub 2 hours before, enjoying themselves. It's the fucking Green Brigade, though, isn't it? They think they're fucking hard, but like we said, and like you said it there, as soon as the police turned up, they were like, "Oh right, yeah, I'm away. I'll see you later." It's like, fucking grow up. Okay, there was, in a few of the clips that I've seen, there were some Hearts fans that were squaring up to them, and there was a wee bit of a rammy at some stages. But do you know what? You go, you get a train or you get a bus through from Glasgow to be in Edinburgh for a sum total of half an hour to get chased back to Glasgow, or at least to Haymarket anyway, by the police. I'm like, I hope you enjoyed your brief stay in the capital. You got pumped all the way home and we pumped your team and all. So thanks very much.
Just to kind of go into the end of the game there, even after the wonderful goal that was scored by Suter, and by that point, my voice was literally just, literally, my voice was just away.
I think we both were.
I know, man. The action didn't stop there. If you were nervous up until that point, you must have been the most stressed out I've ever seen you. That 4 minutes, you were literally stressed out of your nut. But obviously, all game, he didn't have much to actually do. But if there's one man in particular that we do have to point out as well, for a 37-year-old goalkeeper, there's only one thing I've got to say. How the fuck did David Marshall start before him in the fucking Euros? Seriously, where do you get that?
It's because
total of 2 sorry, Alan, but like
Oh, no, on you go.
a total of two world. I don't even care if the second one was more for the cameras. I don't care. Two, in my view, world class saves in the space of 60 seconds. But you cannot deny that he is one of the best Scottish goalkeepers that we have ever produced.
Oh, without question. I mean, this is a guy that got signed by Sunderland and at the time was a British record for a goalkeeper or a
There you
British
go.
goalkeeper. You know, the highest fee paid for a British goalkeeper was like 9 million or something, which nowadays sounds like nothing. But
No.
Gordon is just unbelievable. And we are so lucky to have a goalkeeper like that. And I said it at the start and I'll say it again. Celtic made a huge mistake in letting him go. And
Among many,
that, yeah, that just added to the enjoyment of it for me. And everybody's pointing it out. Everybody's pointing it out. Even the commentary after he makes the second save, they say this is what Celtic have been missing, not just last season, but so far this season as well. And I'm thinking, yes, that is exactly what it is. But I'll say it myself. You said they were world class saves. I thought the first one was ridiculous, genuinely. The way he comes out and just makes no neck Forrest absolutely shat it and hit it straight at him. Yeah, that's Craig Gordon all day. But the second one, I'm not going to say it was world class because
no. I didn't say that was world class. I said that was more for the cameras, but I'm still going to say that it looked world class.
Oh yeah. But I would have been surprised. I would have been disappointed if he didn't save it. Is what I was going to say because that.
No, man, I get it.
That save, Craig Gordon pulls those out, every week if he has to. That's in his locker. He can do that. He can get across the goal that quickly and push it away, which, like you say, for a 37-year-old is unbelievable. But yeah, it just topped it all off. And you just think, do you know what? Get it right up, you Celtic. You have let one of Scotland's best goalkeepers walk away for nothing. And he's come back to his boyhood club and he's fucking shafted you on day one. Enjoy that.
Going on to Saturday's game against St Mirren, where we're in the Paisley for the game. I'm pretty sure that I heard a stat not too long ago that we've not won in the Paisley for 5 or 6 years or something like that. It's something along those lines. But
it has been a while. It has been a while.
So with that in mind, after the game that we just had there, do you think that Robbie and the boys will keep that momentum there, or do you think it'll be a bit more of a difficult task than we think it will be?
I think it's a difficult one to predict, to be honest, because I think it'll be a totally different game from the one against Celtic. I think, well, I'd like to hope that we'll have more than 25% possession against St Mirren.
You'd hope.
But I have to say, St Mirren are a little nippy team and I hate them. Genuinely, I do not like them. But I do kind of acknowledge that they're not a bad side.
They're
just very, very inconsistent. And yeah, it'll be a different kind of game. Obviously, the Hearts players will be on a high from the win against Celtic, and you hope that they can take that into the St Mirren game. But it will be a very different game. I'm looking forward to seeing us have more of the ball and how we play it and what we do with it, because I think I said it earlier on that when we had the ball against Celtic, there were a few occasions when we got to a certain point in the pitch and we didn't make the right decision, or we didn't play the right pass, or Boyce held it up for too long, or someone didn't make the right run, or it's that needs to be, and it will be worked out. That's just players getting used to playing with each other again and playing together in the team. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the St Mirren game because I'm positive about it.
Yeah.
But like we said at the start, there are still nerves there because I know what Hearts are like. And it's one of those, like, I'm going to put my negative hat on here and I hate doing it. But the typical Hearts thing, right, is to put in a 10 out of 10 performance against Celtic, effort, energy, work rate, etc., and then to go away to Paisley and not show up. Do you know what I'm saying? I hope that's not the case. I hope that's not the case. I hope we show up and I hope we absolutely batter them. I hope Liam Boyce scores a hat-trick and tells them all to get to fuck. But knowing Hearts is to know that both outcomes are entirely possible. So I just don't know.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, again, like, out of us two, I seem to be the more optimistic one out of us both. I think we'll relatively be okay. I think if we stick to the same formation as we did, I think we'll be fine. The only sort of in a good way, I think the only sort of was it the positions on the park that I think can maybe be at this moment, maybe be a tiny bit experimented in terms of who works well together will be the central mid the field too. I think was it the Benny has shown that he's more than sort of capable in the center of the park. And you've got the likes of you had Halliday sort of was it had to play there on Saturday. Who knows? Haring could maybe be like a better sort of Ed the pairing for him. Maybe was it Ed the Pollock as well? But from what Ed the Benny shown on that day, I think that's what we need. I think because he didn't really drive that much into the final third, but at the same time he done enough was it slightly driving forward, but then as he did was it progressing to the second half, it started to actually feel a bit more was it comfortable as well. He started to look like a proper player, and even to just get the ball at his feet, even if it was a horrible was it pass to him, he's got such composure on him, and he and if he can start to move that into more sort of the games and start to build up a bit more was it the confidence as well, I think we could have a real was it the player on our hands.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I said it about Benny as well, that I was really impressed with the way that he shielded the ball. He just got himself in front of the Celtic player and kept the ball in front of him. And it was just, if you're standing between the Celtic player and the ball, the Celtic player's not getting it off you.
No.
And Benny did that so many times. And I think there was a moment where he had it and he sort of showed quick feet and nipped it past a couple of Celtic players and then played a pass. And you just think, this guy, I mean, I saw an article today, I can't remember where it was from, but I saw a headline and it was something along the lines of Nielsen could have made the best signing in Scottish Premiership this season by signing Benny.
I saw that as well. Yeah, I saw it.
And I don't think that's a bad shout. I think it's very, very early to say it. And I think in the same interview that Benny gave to the Evening News on the Sunday, he said, I didn't expect to play 90 minutes. I was blown by the end of it because he's not fully fit. He's not completely match fit, but he'll get there. But if that performance in that 90 minutes is a player who's not fully match fit, he walks into that starting 11 every week, providing he's not injured.
Definitely.
But, yeah, I mean, in terms of the St Mirren game, going back to that, I think I would love to see Benny, and I don't know who to partner him with. Do you keep Halliday because they played the last game? Or do you, like you say, do you bring Haring in, or do you play Pollock? It's an interesting one. It really is. I think we might see Pollock at some point in the game, to be honest, because I think Robbie will want to see how he fits in this environment in the Premier League, because he's played him in pre-season and he's impressed in pre-season. But to go from playing in pre-season in the Premier Sports Cup to playing in the Premier League, it's a different environment. But we know what Halliday can do in the Premier League. We know what Peter Haring can do in the Premier League. We've seen Benny play one game, and we know his game is set for playing in the Premier League. Once he gets up to speed and gets up to the tempo of the game, which won't take him long.
No.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think Finlay Pollock will start, put it that way. I wouldn't be surprised if Robbie goes with exactly the same 11 that played against Celtic, because why would you change that?
Yeah, no, man, absolutely.
And I'd be happy with that. And one player that I haven't mentioned at all during this entire podcast that I think deserves a shout out is Alex Cochrane. I
Yeah,
think he looks a cracking bit of business, by the way. And
yeah,
I said it when we signed him on loan that he's a young player who's come from Brighton. You know, Kingsley is a player that can be left back. If Cochrane's going to be like an understudy to him, I'd be happy with that. Alex Cochrane has to start every week at the moment for me. That back three with Kingsley playing at the left centre back, I think it's made Kingsley look better as well. But
yeah.
Cochrane is just, yeah, he looks a right player.
Absolutely, Alan. I mean, like you said, him, like, was it Ed Kingsley? Every single player that actually, Ed came on, even the subs as well. They all had a part to play, and they did what they set out to actually do, and they all played absolutely fantastic. And if, like you've said as well, if we can carry that on into Saturday in Paisley, I'll be absolutely delighted. So
Yeah.
I think that kind of wraps up on the Celtic game as such. But as we said last week, on episode 14 of the pre-match against Celtic, we said between ourselves we were going to start the prediction league. Not to sort of bring it back, but I did win. So as of such, after the first game, it is 2 points to moi, and Alan is on nilch. But you can redeem yourself with this the weekend's game, Alan. So I would like to hear your the prediction and your goal scorer or scorers as well.
Right. Okay. St Mirren. I really genuinely don't know. This is the thing.
Are you literally going to be like this every single week? You're going to be silent and you're going to. I don't know.
It just comes to me. It just comes into my head, to be honest. I'm just stalling. I'm going to go with. Do you know what? I'm going to go for a 1-0 win for Heart of Midlothian. And I'm not going to give you a goal scorer. I'm not going to give you a goal scorer because I have genuinely no idea.
Get it done. Come on.
Ginelli.
Oh, interesting shout. And would you like to see at exactly what time will that
go? No. Just tell us your prediction because it's probably going to win.
No.
You're on a roll.
Bitter loser. Sorry, Harlan.
Oh, I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for your prediction, and I'll just open my William Hill account as we go here.
Yeah, using bastard. Anyhow, so again, I'm gonna go on the side of I think we'll take in that momentum and that confidence from Celtic. I'm gonna get slated from the Perth to was it Ed Pays the podcast now. I'm gonna go for a 3-0 win in Paisley. I'm gonna go for that. I'm gonna put my balls on the line, and I'm gonna go for a 3-0 win. My goal scorers are gonna be 2 for Boyce and 1 for Kingsley. I know that's a very odd choice, but I don't know what it is. He just popped in there. But so yeah, Boyce to score 2, Kingsley 1, and Hearts to win a total of 3-0. Now get off that fucking app right now, or otherwise, I swear to God, if you win, if you win, finder's fee. Get that fucking written down. I can shove that right up your arse.
Come on. You know what? I've just written it down. Well, I've typed it out, right? I've typed it out and I've put you
4-1.
4-1. Alan 1-0. I don't know what the odds are actually. I might have to look that up. Who knows? Stranger things have happened.
Absolutely, Alan. But nonetheless, as you've said before, regardless of the score, as long as it is a Hearts win and it is another 3 points on the board, we'll all be happy. So yeah, I think that kind of wraps it up for this week's episode. But from this, we would love to hear your thoughts and your the score and the predictions as well for the St Mirren game as well. If you think that my sort of scoreline will be right, probably not. And if you're on the side of Alan, which is most definitely going to be more right than me, we would love to hear from yourselves as well. And if you think if we should start with the same lineup as we did it against Celtic, or if you feel as if anybody else should be slotting into any role that you so choose, we would love to hear from you guys. And just a very last note on that, the last episode, guys, the subs just kind of shot up and leapt up, honestly, guys, and we're getting ever so close to that 100 subscriber mark. So honestly, from me and Alan as well, thank you so much. Honestly, it means a great deal. And yeah, keep those subs coming, guys, honestly, because we're getting really close to 100, and if it keeps going the way it said going, we'll probably get there way before Christmas time. So honestly, thank you so much.
Yeah.
But as always, guys, if you are a fan of the Since I Was Young podcast, and if you are a Hearts fan, please think about subscribing and smash that like button as well.
Yeah.
And we want to hear all your feedback and your comments as well, which leads me to our socials as well. We are on Twitter and Instagram at SIWY Pod. And also, if you want to get in contact with us about any, the brand deals or anything like that, you throw them our way. You can get in contact with us through Since I Was Young 1874 at gmail.com. And if you want to get in contact with either myself or Alan, my YouTube page and Alan's Twitter page is in the links description below. So as always, guys, thank you very much for watching, and Alan, always a pleasure, sir.
Absolutely, sir. The same to you. Here's to another 3 points on the weekend, eh?
Absolutely, mate. And here's to another right score prediction as well. So yes, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. You take care. Bye for now.